Now, I asked you guys to let me know when Miz's dad showed up on that Miz and Mrs. reality show. I watched episode 1 last week. I said, I don't know if I'm going to stick with it. And I said, look, let me know when Miz's dad shows up. Because the guy's a character, and I like Miz's dad. And it didn't take very long because he popped up on the second episode. So I watched it. And if Chris Jericho could get Ralphus over in WCW, there is no reason that Miz can't get his dad over as his manager in WWE. Come on. Come on. Maurice is at home with the baby now. He doesn't have the Miz Taraj anymore. Now is the time for George Mizanin to make his SmackDown Live debut. Miz and Maurice on this episode were throwing a baby shower, or I should correct myself, Maurice was throwing a baby shower. I have enough married friends to know that that's how this really works. It ain't the guys putting this thing together. They're just sort of along for the ride. So they went cake shopping. She wanted, of course, the most expensive cake. And on the show, maybe he's like this in real life too, but on the show, they sort of portray Miz as being very frugal with his money. So he goes for the slightly less expensive one. And he negotiates the $100 delivery charge down to $90. Ooh, he's quite the negotiator. If it was him as the negotiator in that movie instead of Samuel L. Jackson, he would have been dead in the first scene. So then Miz has to go pick his dad up at the airport. Maurice is back at the house getting her hair done and getting ready for the big party. And they're moving out of Chateau Miz, or I guess what do they call it? Chateau Marmiz? Ugh. It's like Benifer. Right? Remember Benifer? What was the other name? It was well, actually no, I think that was Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, right? Benifer they call them. All these stupid names they come up with. So yeah, Chateau Marmiz is what they call their house. They're moving, of course, out to Texas, and this is their big sort of going away party. So she's at home, and Miz picks his father up from the airport. And his father is even cheaper than he is. He says, well, why pay any delivery fee at all? Let's just go pick up the cake. And he's not wrong, by the way. So against his better judgment, Miz agrees, and I think you could all figure out what happens next. They put the cake in the car, and then Miz stops short, and the cake goes flying forward. So now it's ruined, and he ends up rushing back to the cake shop, and he pays double. He offers to pay double the price of the most expensive cake. So if the most expensive cake was $1,000, I'll pay you $2,000, he says. Because that's the cake that my wife wanted. You just have to get it for me ASAP. I need it right now. So, fast forward. We're at the house for the party. This glorious cake is delivered. Mrs. Mother suspects foul play is involved here when the more expensive cake is delivered. And she takes Maurice to Mike's car where they find cake residue all over the back seat. As if he would not have cleaned that shit up. And that's on the inside of the car. Like if a bird shits on my car, which they do every day because there's a giant tree that hangs over my driveway, I lose my mind. There's no way that Miz is leaving cake all over the inside of his car. Yeah, bird crap and tree sap. That's going to be the title of my first song when I take off as a SoundCloud rapper. I take it to the car wash. The very next day, there's bird crap all over it. And there's tree sap all over the back window. I remember the first time I looked at the back window, I thought it was water. I took a tissue. I went to go wipe it off, and it stuck to the window. I said, what is this? Is this honey? No, it's tree sap all over the car. You can barely see out the back window. This is what I've been putting up with all summer. Bird crap and tree sap. Like, I want a new car, but I'm terrified to buy one because I know as soon as I bring it home, it's going to be covered in all this crap. I have a Hyundai Sonata right now. Same year as I started this podcast, so what's that, 11 years. Car only has 57,000 miles on it, which is not bad, I think, for an 11-year-old car. But I've been eyeing, because I've been starting to do my research, and I've been eyeing one of those Honda Civic hatchbacks in blue, 2018 Civic hatch. That's the one I've been reading up on lately. I've not that I've made my mind up yet, but that's the one I'm sort of leaning towards. I mean, but I'm hardly a car guy, so believe me, any suggestions are welcome out there from any of you car people. I'll tell you what, I really like the Type R. But there's absolutely no reason for me to be driving one of those things where I live. Like maybe if I lived in a more suburban area or a place with more open road, not in the middle of Brooklyn, I'm not going to buy, a Type R. But what's the point? Because the Angry Birds are just going to repaint it in white for me anyway, so there's no point. Maybe I should buy a white car, then nobody would notice. So yeah, this all felt very contrived, but I know that's how all these reality shows are, which is why I usually don't watch them. It was fun, though, seeing John Morrison was at the baby shower. Taya, I saw her in the background. Dolph was there. Dana Brooke was there. And fucking Avril Lavigne. Not that Dana Brooke was fucking Avril Lavigne. I just meant fucking Avril Lavigne was at this friggin' party. I was like watching this. I'm like, what the hell? Like, talk about random. And there she is. There's just like, oh, there's Avril Lavigne. But truth be told, look, the show's only half an hour. I enjoyed this more than I did Raw. I may have to watch this show more often.